Best Podcast Ever is sponsored by the Gertzberg Law Firm, a full-service business law firm in Cleveland and Chagrin Falls that's changing the way businesses retain their attorneys. Go to gertzberglaw.com to learn more. While you're there, check out Cover My Six, a complete legal audit of the 6 areas that most often create or prevent business lawsuits and government investigations. Go to covermysix.com to learn how we keep you safe. Enjoy the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're about to listen to the best podcast ever recorded.
And so what I tell people is, listen, if today wasn't powerful for you, for a moment, take the gratitude off of yourself and be grateful that we got to be part of someone else's transformation. Yeah.
Hi, Alex Gertzberg.
Hi, Molly Gebler.
I got it in there first because
did.
I've been listening to a few of our episodes, and you always say it first, so I slipped it in first just to mix everybody up. We're like, they're trying to change the dial right now. Are we listening to this? Is this the best podcast ever? What?
They're like, something's wrong.
It's us, folks. Don't you worry.
On episode number 94 and a half? Or is it 95?
Insane. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Insane.
This is our first two-parter. In almost 100 episodes.
Was Rob Sapp a two-parter?
No, he was a returning guest.
But he was because we've messed up on the.
Oh, that's right. We've had several. We've had several who had to we had several restarters.
We have Dan back. We have Dan back to rock the mic.
This is going to be a big one. That's what I think.
Yeah.
And
we have to confirm our dance off with him. I believe we've been tasked to do.
That's true. Molly, can I say once more how proud I am of you kicking this crazy sugar habit, diet soda habit?
It'd be sugar habit. It'd be aspartame habit. Because there's no sugar in Diet Coke. I guess that's only Diet Coke.
All right. Soda habit.
Yeah. And a shout out to Tiffany for sending a little love care package. That's just what I'm going to call it. Right. Some bubbly, sparkling water. Bubly, if you're listening, and you would like to also help me kick the habit,
more bubbly.
Please send it to the Gertzberg Law Firm, and Alex will be happy to get the cases and cases of bubbly. I'm a black cherry or pomegranate. I will try the cranberry too.
Okay.
Hey, bubbly, I'm not a strawberry person.
Molly, how's it been going?
You know what? It is good.
Yeah.
It is good. I think I'm past the withdrawal. Like, I have my energy back.
What are we, 3 weeks now?
Yeah. So remember, I was feeling very blah last time we talked. I feel like I have my energy back. I feel like my nails are good. Could that be possible?
I don't know.
I have long nails all of a sudden.
You've noticed that? Oh, wow, that would be fascinating. You've actually noticed that your fingernails are growing longer since you stopped?
Of course, I literally just painted them, which I never do because I never have them.
Wow, this is fascinating.
Right? This could be breaking news.
Any other effects?
I mean, I definitely feel like after dinners or eating, I'm not as stuffed and bloated as I typically am.
Totally makes sense. There's all the carbonated stuff happening in your stomach makes you feel fuller.
And I've been doing a lot of water. When I'm at home at night, just because we're well water, I'm not 100% thrilled, even though I have a fridge with the fancy little water thing.
Right.
I'm not 100% confident about my filter in the refrigerator, so I drink the LaCroix plain with a lime. Like, I go out and buy my fresh limes for the week.
Is that like bubbly? Is LaCroix bubbly?
So it's just plain. There's no flavor to it, which is odd, which is so opposite of me. I do, as long as I have the lime. See, these sometimes tease me a little bit. They don't give me enough flavor, so I really do need that spray of lime. But then when I'm out, I'm drinking water, so I'm not having that bloating.
Now, you surprised me last time by telling me that you don't own a scale.
No, I don't own a scale.
Because I would love to know. I'm telling you right now, you look different. I'm not joking. Yeah, no, you definitely do.
So you're asking if I feel weight loss.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. Not last night when I sat in a theater seat. Because those are so small. And we saw Come From Away. Have you seen that?
No.
Are you going? You have a season pass, right?
To where?
Playhouse Square.
Come
From Away.
I no longer have a season pass. I don't know what that is, but let's come back to that and keep talking about
I'm going to come back to
your
that.
sugar situation. So you're
So I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, other than the fingernails and the bloating, you're not. It sounds like those are your two
positives,
biggest changes that you actually feel to have manifested.
Right. Energy is back, and no extreme migraines like I had, like for that first week that I had.
Oh, you're saying energy is back in the sense that you were going through some kind of withdrawal where you felt like you had less energy.
Oh, I felt like I was just. Oh yeah, I just couldn't.
Do you feel your energy levels are where they were or better?
Probably where they were.
Okay.
I'm a pretty hyped up person, so. Yeah.
Well, I am 100% certain that you are healthier today than you were 3 weeks ago.
That's what Tiffany said, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Every time, yeah.
That's fantastic. I'm proud of you.
That's the update.
So this show you saw was good?
Oh my gosh. So it's Come From Away.
Mm-hmm.
It is about when 9/11 happened. There were planes up in the air that had to be grounded immediately.
Right.
Because every plane was treated as a bomb.
Yes.
At that point. They were all 638 planes, 7,000 people were grounded to Newfoundland, Canada, which was in the day the largest airport because it was the furthest point north.
Okay.
And when planes got bigger and could carry more fuel, then that airport basically became obsolete because planes did not need to land and refuel.
Okay.
Because they could make the trip. So this little gander, it was called Gander, Newfoundland, Gander, Canada. I don't know.
Wait, what?
Gander was the city.
Oh, got it. Okay.
7,000 people total.
Yeah.
So here they literally in 1 hour doubled their entire city.
Wow.
And the people there just opened their home. It's a true story. Opened their homes, gave their rooms to people. Mm-hmm. People were, just dropping off food and diapers. There were animals on the plane, which they didn't think about till last second. And it just was. And then the relationships that started, a couple got married. They were on the plane together. Just stories that came out of these people being stuck there. Stuck there for 5 days because remember they shut everything down. And I remember and if you go see it, bring your tissue because it's pretty amazing. I remember that day. I remember my mom calling me. We lived in Wycliffe at that time. My mom calling me and telling me, you need to go outside and you need to look up in the air because there will never be a day where there are no airplanes. So I remember with the whole, I had both my kids and John, we all went outside and just sat on the porch. It was the quietest. There were no planes, and in Wycliffe you had we have airports that were right there, Lost Nation airports right there. And I just remember that. Yeah, so I thought that was so interesting because, obviously, and rightfully so, we hear about all the victims and their stories and the people in the towers and their stories, but we don't really hear about those planes that, and then they had to get back on a plane. And then they dealt with there was a Muslim guy on their plane and, his story about how he felt. He was actually a trained chef that I think was from New York City. And just people they didn't want to go back on the plane with him. They didn't want him to get on the plane.
What a fascinating topic to make a
interesting
theater play about.
Yeah. So if you have a time, I think it's getting limited. So, or anywhere else, go see it.
Who'd you go with, John?
Amazing. John and I went. Yeah.
Did John like it?
He did. He did a lot.
Good.
A lot. Yeah. So how was your weekend?
It was okay. I actually, we're going to talk about depression. We talked a little bit about depression, and I don't think that I have depression, but I definitely randomly, once I would say like every 5 to 6 weeks, we'll just have like a day or two, like over a weekend, whenever like something stressful might happen at work, and then there will be like a series of just reminders about that and related stressors. And sometimes I just get into a funk, and it'll last like 2 or 3 days. And it seems like nothing really is working that traditionally works for me. And so this weekend, it was yesterday. Probably it started like Saturday afternoon and then went to last night. So like a 24-hour period where I was it was like one reminder after another about why.
So were you were letting something eat you up?
Yes, exactly. And I would fixate on it, right? What's great to do in that situation for me is to write, right? Because then I feel like I can create good art using that emotion,
Right.
But I didn't do it, and I should have. And
do you feel that? Sorry. Do you feel that? So sorry for interrupting you, Alex.
That's okay, man. Molly, quite all right.
Do you feel like it helps cleanse, like through your writing, it helps cleanse whatever the situation is?
I've thought about this a lot. 2 or 3 things happen while I write. One is it is cleansing, yes, and it is cathartic, and I get it out. And one thing that I notice, whether I'm really happy or just really bummed out, is my mind weaves stories out of disparate events and connects things into some narrative, right? And so that makes for good writing. That makes for good, just imagination flow, right? But the other thing is that it was just kind of like I was, for a 24-hour period, having a really hard time not thinking negative thoughts. Okay. Right. And it was usually about like 3 or 4 things that I just received recent reminders of, right? Some work related, some family related, and yeah, so that happened. Before that, I had a great Saturday, a really great Friday. Took some clients out on the boat that you'll one day join me on. Yeah. We had a great time. Saw the Lion King movie with Tiffany and Maya. It was amazing.
How was Maya with that?
She was great.
Okay, because I've heard that some people have left. They said that the hyenas are very, very scary.
There were some intense scenes in it, for sure.
It's kind of scary.
But I will tell you this, I am never seeing another movie at Valley View again because, man, it was just like people were just obnoxious there.
Like talking and such?
Yeah, there was like kids there, and it was like Saturday night, and that place is dead to me.
Negative. Yeah. Speaking of Lion King, our past guest, Rob Sapp, and if you haven't listened to that episode, please, after this one, take a listen to that one. He will be here in Cleveland in The Lion King.
In the Playhouse Square production?
Yes.
Is that
He is
right?
currently in Toronto doing The Lion King.
Really?
So he's a standby for 3 characters, and he's going to hopefully get a specific date that I will share so that we can get our tickets to go support him.
I will go.
Yeah.
I will go to see Rob Sapp What if we go and Rob Sapp is not in it that time?
Well, he's going to hope to ask for a day to that he will be on.
Yeah.
He's going to say, "Listen, I have family, blah blah blah."
Yeah. I will go.
Yeah.
I will go see
sure.
it. And then I think that oh man.
Tell.
Well, last Thursday was a really fun concert. Wasn't
my
it?
gosh.
The Pop-Tarts? The Pop-Tarts, so much
First of all, the Pop-Tarts are great. I only got to spend 10 minutes with the Pop-Tarts because I had to go.
How was your dad?
My dad is good. He fell and he had broken a rib.
Oh, man.
But it was nice. It wasn't nice, but we got to see Josh, Nellie's husband,
He was your RN.
producer. Yes, he was our RN, all dressed in his whites.
Oh, my goodness. Did you guys recognize each other?
Oh,
right
yeah.
away?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Good.
Yeah. And he took care of my dad, and it was all good. But before that, the Disney princesses, I wish that I had dressed up like the Wicked stepmother, because I was so, I never thought I'd be a bouncer for a whole bunch of princesses. That was...
First of all, there was
crazy.
1,800 kids there.
Beyond.
And then even when they left, at first I was like, oh man, these kids are going to leave and there's going to be no one left. It was still a packed house.
Crazy.
The Pop-Tarts killed it.
Always. They're coming back to Pinecrest.
Okay.
So make sure everybody visits cvcc.org.
Excellent.
So I handed off my second book to the printer.
It's big news. Molly. Again,
yes,
I'm proud of you.
Yes, and we had a book signing scheduled for this past weekend, but since it was just too hot, I didn't feel it was appropriate for me to be asking parents to bring their little children out in that heat. So we rescheduled it for August 3rd. It'll be at Cibik Dairy Island, and if you buy a book, you get $1 of Blossom Bucks to use towards your ice cream, and I'm going to have Moana there.
You know what Cibik's Dairy Island should do?
What?
Is they should make a special flavor of ice cream in honor of...
We were thinking of that. They have posters up on the wall for
That's
me.
awesome.
They're so super sweet. We were actually there last night, and I will tell you, other than you, everyone else in the world was there. I mean, it was 9:30. We were coming home from the play. And I was like, I just am in the mood for a little ice cream. And it was National Ice Cream Day, so of course I had to get it. And I will tell you, Rick was working his ass off.
Rick Cibik, ladies and gentlemen, for those who don't know, an all-around awesome dude.
Amazing.
And had a great podcast episode with us a few podcasts
So after
back.
Rob, after this one,
Yeah.
listen to Rob, then listen to Rick.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, the line, he had 3 windows open, and there had to be 10 people in each line at 9:30 last night.
Wow. I mean, is that a normal thing?
I was thinking they
on
were
a
closed. I texted him. I'm like, hey, are you guys open? So last night at Pinecrest, there was this guy who was a very large, muscle guy. And he was walking past me, and I noticed him because he was so muscular. And I, turned around, to check at the back end of this muscular man. And he had a gun out his pants. So the handle was out of his pants. Mm-hmm. I don't think it was in any holster. I mean, I literally think it was just sticking in his pants. His shirt was tucked in so you could see the gun. And then as he was walking into a store, he picked up his shirt and covered the gun. And then...
Yeah, because businesses are allowed to say...
Well, Pinecrest isn't the whole place you cannot have a gun.
Oh, so he...
So he was illegal at the... Because I, of course, got on the phone with Jessica's husband and said, hey,
right.
See something, say something. This guy's walking into a store with a gun. Mm-hmm. And so then he came out. The gun was exposed again. But then he got on his motorcycle and he left, so I felt okay. But I just, I thought that was... felt very uncomfortable.
It's unnerving.
Yeah. In this day and age.
Yeah.
In this day and age. But I was watching the Andy Griffith Show at the ER.
Yeah.
And they were doing a duel with shotguns. I mean, just like the 2 neighbors had a beef.
Right.
And Andy said, you know what? Just get your shotgun. Let's finish this beef. Be done with it. He had taken the bullets out, FYI. But I was just like, gosh, boys, this world changed.
It's. I was just thinking of looking for an opportunity to create a segue for our guest here, and you just kept going farther and farther away with the gun story. But then you said something, Molly. You said duel.
Yeah.
How does duel relate to our
dance
guest?
duel?
That's right. That's how he met his wife. It was a dance-off. Let's go get Dancing Dan up in here.
Oh, Dancing Dan.
Molly, have you ever had absinthe before?
Isn't this what I believe I did recently, because we went to that place, that steak place, the Texas de Brazil, right? And this is Brazilian?
No, that's cachaca.
Oh, yeah.
Cachaca.
Which we have.
Is this?
That's the Brazilian national drink.
This tastes like
NyQuil.
Licorice.
Yes,
Oh, yeah,
anise.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Is that what's in here?
We're not allowed to swear.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Wait, what did you swear?
I didn't. I said anise, which is an herb. And not the kind that you smoke either.
All right,
just a regular
cheers
kind.
on the
Cheers.
absinthe. I have a question for you. Is giving up aspartame and the other things that Molly has given up, because she's 3 weeks without.
Right, so I'm guessing you guys talked about that
We
before
did.
I watched. That's amazing.
But Molly said
celebrate.
something. Molly said something that I've never heard before, which is that her fingernails
nails are growing.
for the first time in years. What could the relationship be there?
First time I can see them on the other side.
Wow,
That's
incredible.
Basically, first time I polished them, because I never cared.
Have you ever heard that before? That
I know.
Well, I'm not surprised, though I've never heard it before. Here it's something like this. So, and this will tie into some stuff we'll say later, I'm sure. It's like sugar is harmful to your body, and you could say, well, you could try to figure out what part of your body is being harmful to, but it's like if you just picture the body as globally functioning well or not, if something's harming your body and causing it to not function well, that could have any array of impacts on your body function. So I've never heard someone say that they noticed that when they do or don't eat sugar that their hair or nails grow longer, or I've never heard that before, but I'm not surprised. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's not that she's cut out sugar; she's cut out sodas
and
diet sodas in particular.
I only drank Diet Coke.
Right. So it was the aspartame in particular.
Yeah. So
even more interesting, really. Honestly, that's really I don't know.
I know. I'm just saying.
I mean, I think what happens is that your body has now processed out a chemical on which it has become dependent for years,
right?
And your body is doing things that it were previously stunted, perhaps.
Like as if detoxifying the chemical on a regular basis was depriving your body of the energy needed for growth and healing.
Right. And I will tell you that it definitely was a detox.
Wow. Yeah?
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. I mean, migraines, and I get migraines just in general, but these were night and day migraines, and just the bloatiness. And I was saying complete lack of energy, and now I'm just feeling like, none of us can figure out if it's been 2 weeks or 3 weeks, but
it's probably 3. I think it's been 3.
3. Yeah. Just now getting my energy level back.
Well, that's congratulations and way to go. That's amazing.
You.
Yeah.
Gosh.
I also I think I might need to make a historical factual correction, because I listened to about 3/4 of the last episode, and I think that at some point I said that sugar is a recent historic development, that for most of the 70,000 years that humans
you did say something.
that we've been Homo sapiens, we did not eat any sugar of any kind, and so our bodies evolved to not need sugar. And so I think that what I said was that sugar has only been used to sweeten things, or has only been around for us for a couple hundred years, and that's why it is not our natural state to have sugar, and that's why sugar is so bad for us. I think what I meant to say is sugar as a chemical has been around forever, right? Because it is a natural thing.
Yeah, our body requires it.
You don't. Although I guess refined sugar is
refined sugar is that's what you meant.
Yes,
refined
exactly.
sugar, because you have honey. Right. I mean, people know how to make maple syrup, right? And I mean, sugar. You can squeeze the juice out of sugar cane and let it evaporate and eat that, and that is sugar. But that's not white sugar.
Yeah,
that's a chemical.
The
process.
Refined sugar, right? That's what is in all the food that we now eat, and that is a very recent development, right?
Especially you gotta love the high fructose corn syrup, man.
Poison.
That's definitely
is that caramel corn.
I'm sure caramel corn has high fructose corn syrup in it.
All right, I already gave up Diet Coke. Just slow down.
Yeah, slow down here,
give
people.
Up the caramel corn.
And we have we have months until Halloween anyway, so you got lots of time
That's true.
I've got a more fundamental question. All right. So folks, we've already gone into all the different things that you and Christian do at your Tone of Life, right?
Of life, yeah.
Educate me on what you do and homeopathic stuff. Is it homeopathic?
That's actually a really interesting question because I've had the question multiple times. So are you doing like homeopathic stuff?
Yeah.
And so we'll do a little bit of history, I guess. So homeopathy, which is the practice of homeopathics, homeopathy has been around for a long time.
What is homeopathy?
So homeopathy, specifically treatment-wise, and I don't know a ton, so if anyone out there knows a lot about homeopathy and I sound dumb, don't be surprised. I'll tell you what I know. Call in.
I promise
what's that cell phone number again, Matt?
You'll sound smarter than us, I promise.
So homeopathy consists of usually introducing a substance into the body that is the same as the thing that is causing the issue in the person, or even more specifically, like in terms of an allergen, like you would introduce that substance into the person's body in increasingly small quantities, right? So you're diluting this substance more and more and more and more until the point where there's like a few molecules of the thing that you're concerned about, the person's having a reaction to or whatever. Especially, I think it's easier to picture with an allergy. So if someone's allergic to a certain kind of pollen, you might, for instance, introduce into their body increasingly smaller concentrations of that substance to the point where you're almost not even putting it in their body at all, and that decreasing quantity has an increased effect on their body, which is why, a big reason why, so it's still very popular in Europe and it's not very popular in the United States, and a reason that it was kind of, or heavily, totally poo-pooed by medicine is that there's some principles in the world of chemistry that say unless a substance has this much concentration, it can't possibly be effective. And so it kind of goes against the chemistry on which modern medicine is based.
Well, there are. You ever hear of this guy, the Amazing Randi? Have you heard of him?
Oh, that's my dad.
Stop.
I'm just kidding. My dad's name is Randy, and I think he's amazing. But
Is he in a singing group?
No, he is. I think that's his name. I hope I got that right. He's a guy that offered $1 million to anyone who could bring tangible proof and evidence that they are talking to the dead. Right? Oh. He's a guy. He was a magician. He was just a magician who was an amazing magician, but then he got into these feuds with people who claimed to be telepathic and who were taking people's money and their life savings to claim that they would do seances and talk to their dead relatives, right? Mm-hmm. And he said that is such bullshit. And he would be willing to give $1 million to anyone who actually proved it. And one woman who apparently is like the most famous seance lady ever said, "I'll take that bet," and then backed out, right? And it was all very public. He also claims that homeopathy is fraudulent, right?
Yeah. So here, that's interesting. It's a whole interesting topic there because now I want to talk about seances.
Yeah.
So as a chiropractor, if you were to type in Google search, chiropractic is, or chiropractic does, the first, more than half of the things that would show up would be like fake, quackery, BS. We love to point out why things don't work, especially when we haven't actually tried them ourselves, right? And so my attitude, and this is very relevant in chiropractic. My attitude when someone says, "Oh, I've heard chiropractic doesn't work," it's like, yeah, tell that to my patients who are having amazing results. I don't know what to tell you when someone in 2 weeks is having, it's like someone walks in, they say, "Hey, it's been 2 weeks and my back pain's gone." But not only that, I realize that I've had back pain my whole life, and even that's gone. So, wow, like what's next? Yeah. And I go, let's keep going, And so then that person, if someone said, "Oh, that's bullshit," to that person they'd say, honestly, you know what? You're bullshit because this is working.
Well,
for me.
but I feel like that's a little different. Like I've gone to a chiropractor and have cured so many lower back problems that I've had my entire life. So if that's fake, I'm okay with it. Right. It works. But chiropractic medicine is regulated, right? Like you have to be licensed to be a chiropractor.
Absolutely.
Don't you?
Absolutely. So,
whereas,
before we go forward, I just want to clarify. So, putting the words chiropractic medicine together is actually an oxymoron. So, chiropractic is not medicine.
Okay.
So I'm being a stickler just for the audience.
No, and actually, you probably have to be because there probably are licensing and regulatory rules about whether you can say you're practicing medicine.
Absolutely.
And if you say it wrong, you're probably going to get in trouble. But
we have a lot of people in that field that would get you in trouble. Like, we have fact checkers all the time.
Yeah. There's people who have a lot of time on their hands.
People are not saying medicine.
Yes. Chiropractic practice is a regulated thing that you can be de-licensed, right?
Absolutely,
right? And whereas homeopathy, right? I don't know. Is that regulated or is that
I don't know how the regulations look in America. I know that it is absolutely regulated
in Europe,
in at least in Europe, and probably in America as well. I mean, and state by state. I know I just met with a naturopath recently. I was learning more about her profession, and in Oregon, where she went to school, naturopaths are doctors. They're primary care physicians.
Right.
They can do minor surgeries. They can. I think she said they can prescribe some medication even. And yet in Ohio, they're not even recognized as practitioners of any sort. And so state by state, it's quite ridiculous how much difference there is there. So I don't know how homeopathy goes, but so using the chiropractic thing as an example, I think you'd find countless. I mean, in fact, I'd bet money that you'd find countless numbers of people over the course of history who would say, homeopathy is fake? What are you talking about? Like I've had amazing, and I've heard people have amazing results. I mean, I think it's easy to say when you don't understand something or doesn't fit into your paradigm, it's easy to point out, well, according to my paradigm, that doesn't make any sense. It's like, yeah, well, tough luck. You know, you don't know everything.
Yeah.
What do you? So let's pull that string a little bit farther, right? Acupuncture, right? People swear by it, right? People swear by it, say it has cured them of so many things. Is that a regulated? And maybe I don't know why I'm so stuck on regulation. Maybe because I'm a lawyer.
Regulate, so it's interesting. So as a lawyer, well, there's different kinds of lawyers. So I actually don't. Yeah. Actually, Alex, we should talk about you. I don't know. I don't even know.
All day. Happy to.
Lawyers are scams.
There's a lot of bad ones. I know that.
So the idea, and I think you resonate with this, is like regulations in place to make sure that people aren't getting hurt.
Right.
Right. And so the job of regulation isn't to make me as a chiropractor the best chiropractor I can be. It's to make sure I'm not being a crappy chiropractor. Right. That's what regulation does. How good I am is up to me, up to my patients to determine from their results. So
acupuncture though.
Acupuncture. So regulation. It is regulated.
Oh, it is.
Again, state by state,
which makes sense. You're putting needles in people.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, and it's so. I mean, acupuncture has a very long history. Thousands. We're talking about thousands of years of history.
Chinese.
Traditional Chinese medicine
is
Chinese medicine is the most common title under which you see someone practicing acupuncture these days.
Right.
Do you think that we should start talking about maybe some of the things Dan does?
Yeah. Well,
just for the record, I'm really enjoying the conversation, but I'm also happy to talk about.
The way we got on this subject is because I wanted to know if Dan does homeopathy.
Short answer is I do not practice homeopathy. I do not practice acupuncture. And we get that question a lot because, again, we're using light touch, Molly, right? Non-pornographic.
Wait a minute. A chiropractor does not use light touch. I'm sorry.
We talked about this last week.
I mean, when you do that.
So, okay. So, all right. So we missed something last week here.
Okay.
So the way that I work as a chiropractor is different even within the world of chiropractic. I'm not the only type of chiropractor that uses light touch or low force, but I practice a variety of styles where we use light touch or low force in order to help the body adjust. So I literally do not crack and pop bones. I don't do it because in my perception, I don't need to in order to achieve the result that I want, which is for your body to start to heal and function better, right? So I'm literally using light touch to interact with the body.
So you're focusing on like pressure points basically, or what?
There's we have when we have our what we do at the office talk, you guys should totally come.
Yes.
Because I'll go into that in detail, and I don't want to get. I'm guaranteed to get off track if I get into like what it is that where I'm touching and why.
Well, so for the listeners, when and where is that talk? And then we can bring a lot of people over there.
I have not scheduled it.
Okay.
But
let us know.
I know that my wife and I are going. We're closing the office for a week at the end of August. We're going to Mississippi to visit my in-laws. It's going to be hot, sweltering, and a wonderful time all at once. And when we come back in September, probably, I want to say that the first Wednesday in September, I'm going to go ahead and say it. Is it your birthday? Oh, maybe that's not a good day.
September 3rd, I think.
I don't know when it's going to be.
Great day.
It's a great day, but I don't want to.
Yes.
You're going to do something else. So.
I will tell you. I think you're going to have the listeners wanting to know more just with your comment of saying that you do not pop and grind.
Yeah, a lot.
That you lightly touch and caress.
So we get a lot of people who like our style of work simply on the basis that we don't use a lot of force.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not even the best part.
Gosh.
The best part is, so what's different about me between what I do and other styles of light touch work is that there's a progression. So my goal, my role is to be a guide and a teacher and a facilitator in helping the body learn progressively more advanced ways of healing itself and of dealing with stress and of adapting to stress. And so, my goal obviously is to have phenomenal results right off the bat. And even someone who 2 weeks down the road is pain-free, most often people stick around because we're going somewhere. Over the course of time, people regularly feel better than they felt in months, years, or longer, because we're restoring the body's ability to function. I shouldn't say that person's body is restoring its own ability to function in a way that it hasn't experienced in potentially
other than
decades.
Pain. Mm-hmm. Can chiropractic practice help with other things such as depression and weight and I don't know.
That's a great spread, right? So people come in with back pain and headaches because they think of chiropractors, back pain, headache, I got to get taken care of, I'm going to go in. And that's great. We can definitely help with that. We also get a lot of people who come in with chronic illnesses, sleep issues, depression, anxiety, allergies. I mean, just the list goes on and on. We see children with bedwetting issues, children with behavioral issues. And we're not treating any of those things. Chiropractors do not treat illnesses or symptoms or diseases. We help the body function better by helping the nervous system, which is the brain and the spinal cord, right? We talked about craniosacral being with, the bony structures that house the spinal cord, right? So my wife is included in this goal. And so chiropractors and Tone of Life in particular here, our goal is to help teach the body to progressively, basically we're unwinding stress that it's been carrying around for years and teaching it to adapt to stress that's going to come in the future. And what you get out of that, when we start to help the body remove the interference that we are carrying around from the stresses in our life to proper function, right? So you're talking about Molly's nails growing. When we removed the interference that was coming in the form of aspartame, right? It was interfering with your body's ability to grow your nails. You remove the interference, your nails started growing. Mm-hmm. Our job is to remove the interference to your body healing properly and functioning properly. And at Tone of Life, between the network spinal chiropractic, which is a style of chiropractic that I do, and the craniosacral therapy, we're helping to teach the body to progressively unwind deeper and deeper levels of tension and adapt to more and more levels of stress, physically, mentally, and emotionally, right? Now, the weight loss is interesting because I get that question a lot. I absolutely cannot assure that someone's going to lose weight. However, regularly people come to me telling me about lifestyle changes they feel compelled to make. They come to me telling about realizations about how the way they've been acting has been affecting their health in a way they didn't realize. And so lifestyle and attitude and behavior changes as a response to the nervous system functioning more properly. Right?
So let's use real life examples. I was just telling Molly how every like once a month, maybe like every 6 weeks, I will just get into a funk, right? Where I cannot stop fixating for like a 24 to 48 hour period on just like bad shit, right? Just like, just a string of like little things, right? Will like personal, professional, they'll just kind of just dump. And then 2 days in a row, I'll just be like, man, this just like everything sucks, right?
Maybe it's your man period.
Could be my man period.
That.
Walk me through without having a full hour long. Damn it, Molly. Without having an.
I'm sorry for interrupting.
He's revealing a sensitive.
I know. I'm trying to be vulnerable.
Vulnerability is important here. We're gonna
without doing like a whole hour long workup, which I'm sure you would because you're thorough, right? Like, what are some of the topics, right? Some of the things that we would talk about if I came to your office with that kind of situation.
So there's a lot of elements there, and a lot of the. I'll start with the back end. So on the back end, so when people come to our office, we have a lot of classes, workshops, and events to help you find skills, tools, new ways of thinking about your life that would reveal to you and to me some things that have been leading you down that path. And one of those, the most elemental to chiropractic, is the nervous system patterns that are in play. Right? So it might be nothing external that's happening, but you literally have this pattern that's going on in your body. It's its own conversation, how the nervous system is built on creating patterns, right? Like you don't reconsider how to tie your shoe every time you tie your shoe. You just do it, which is a great software program to download, right? On the flip side of that, when things are stressful in our lives, we tend to default to patterns that we developed in times of stress. As unhelpful as they might be, we might have created it when we were children, and once a year or once a month or once a week, something happened in our lives, or at this point in time in the school year, and you had this reaction where you acted a certain way, or you were protecting yourself in a certain way, and that literally became your MO, and you just did that from then on. Now that's not the way your body's going to be its healthiest. It's the way your body is keeping itself alive,
right?
Protecting you from, and it's not a life or death. It's not always life or death. Like it's just from being totally embarrassed versus being partially embarrassed, right? Like that could have been something as simple as that.
So maybe, honestly, and I'm not being funny, but maybe your mom or your sister during their cycle, could have. Because women change their personality during that time.
That's fascinating.
Maybe
that is
your defense mechanism, or you would just go in your bedroom and close off and just. I'm just saying
that's within bounds. I mean, we're talking about birth trauma all the way to present day.
I know food, and when you go to Overeating Anonymous and stuff like that, I mean, they dig into. There is a reason that you're overeating. It's not because there is a reason, and it could be because your dad left your family and that's how you coped with it or whatever.
What I like about what you do, Dan, is that it is holistic. It asks questions that are not the same questions that my physician would ask, right? So I've got this great therapist that I go to, and she made this great analogy about how everybody goes through trauma throughout their childhood and teenage years. Little trauma with a little t, not trauma with a big T, she says, right? Not like horrible, life-changing trauma, but just a lot of small traumas, right? And you and your body remembers, your mind and your body remembers how it felt during those little traumas. And times when all your friends hated you, times when your dad made fun of you, times when you failed at something that you really wanted, times that your girlfriend hated you and embarrassed you or something like that. None of these things happened to me, but well, some of them did. But anyway,
to varying extents.
But your body remembers it because we are evolutionarily trained and hardwired to avoid pain and remember those traumas to avoid it. And so what happens as you get older is you accumulate your reaction to similar experiences that were like those, and they build and build. And she made the analogy of, did you ever see that movie Inception?
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that the best movie?
Phenomenal. Are you a science fiction fan at all?
It's mind-blowing.
Really?
But
I love sci-fi. That's okay.
Other than that one about the puppet that sits there and watches
Mystery Science Theater. So anyway, so the premise of Inception is that you have seeds planted in your mind, right? Well, in that case, while you were dreaming, but in other cases, just throughout your life. And those seeds are totally imperceptible to you. You don't even realize that they're there, but they grow. And they grow with life experiences. And so the theory would be, right, the non-physician theory would be that, you get depressed or you get behavioral problems when your body and your mind remembers the accumulation of these little traumas. Does that make sense to you, Dan? Do you think that's right?
Alex, that was awesome,
journey.
honestly.
Well,
really good.
That's Jessica right there. Jessica Horvat. If anyone needs a really good therapist, she's amazing.
Jessica.
Cleveland Heights. Do you know her?
I'd like to meet her.
Oh my God, she's amazing. Man, I've learned more about my entire life from her.
That's
than,
what I'm wondering. Are we not again bringing up maybe something that is not really in Dan's
No, this is still good.
No, actually.
So okay, it's a good conversation though. So
it's a great conversation. I'm trying to promote
my point. But hold on.
I feel promoted, Molly. Thank you.
Okay,
my point of it, though, my point of it is that Dan does things in his practice to get at the heart of a problem in a way that physicians never do.
Correct.
That was my point.
So that's a good contrast too. So when someone comes in to see me, if you came in to see me, because I don't have that training, I don't have that skill set, we wouldn't go that deep. That kind of stuff, this is what's really amazing about what I do. That's what I love about what I do. That kind of stuff. So someone may experience a resolution of a long-standing problem, and the story behind it may never show up. It's like, I feel better. I have no idea why it happened, and now it's gone. And it's like, it's really beautiful in a way because it's like, you don't have to know why you're damaged in order to heal. That's a really huge lesson.
Because it could be something that happened when you were 4 that you don't even remember anymore.
And no one may remember it.
Right.
So that being said, sometimes throughout the process, people they have an instantaneous recognition of, oh my gosh, I'm just now realizing that this experience happened at this age. And as the body releases that pattern, that trauma, that tension, it might surface as a memory. And so in the first initial visit, we're not going to go into that. We're going to talk more about the ways in which you're aware of what's going on in your life now, the things that you are aware of that have happened to you, physically, but also it's like what have been the major physical, emotional, mental stressors in your life? What are they now? What are your habits that may be feeding into and or working against those things? And then we're going to, my chiropractic analysis is then trying to discover as deeply as possible how the tension, the physical tension that came from those experiences, all matter as energy. So when we have an experience, it literally shows up in the body as physical tension. Mm-hmm. If it's a positive experience, it's a development of healthy tension. If it's a harmful experience, it will show up as in terms of negative tension, adverse tension. And so we're going to figure that out in terms of, with my ability to impact your life experience and your health, we're going to dig as deep as is within my field of expertise.
So if we could do this right now with Dan, there is something I would like to say before I leave, and then I'm going to go and then let you two finish off our episode here. Okay, because I do need to be home by 7:00. I do want to, and this kind of goes along with you. My cousin's daughter was in a car accident 2 weeks ago. And I want to say this because I had no idea that this goes on. She was in a van, and she was sitting in the last row, and they were captain seats. She was in the middle. Seatbelt on, sitting the way she should. Well, because there's nothing in front of her to stop her in this accident, she was partially decapitated by her seatbelt and broke a lot of things in her back. So I plead to everybody, don't sit in this seat. This is so the other two people were protected by an airbag behind the seats, but this seat is, you know what
open,
seat I'm talking about?
An open aisle.
So she went back and forth. There was nothing to stop her whatsoever. There's no headrest.
Wow.
Because the other two have a headrest. They don't.
Oh, no.
She is fine. The doctor said that, I mean, she's lucky to be alive. Wow. They had to go in twice and do surgery on her whole neck. She's had surgery on some of her her numbers that were broken, cervical, mainly up here connected to her head. She has a halo on, but
that's crazy. That makes perfect sense.
It makes perfect sense.
There's nothing there, no airbag.
I'm pleading with everybody that maybe a child should not be in that particular. And I have that seat. I have a SUV. I have that seat. I have, I have a third row, and you go in between. So I plead. I just never thought of.
I wonder how widespread that is as a problem. You would think that would have been like tested with
fixed,
like dummies and stuff.
We're still drinking Diet Coke though. No one's fixed that.
No, we're not, Molly.
No, right. But I wanted to give a shout out to her. Her name is Sydney. She is amazing. She is up and walking and smiling, and she has her little halo.
How old is she?
She is young, like 8 to 10. But it was touch and go for sure. And doctors have said definitely they've seen it come in, and it has not ended the way that it did.
That's so sad.
So attention. I like to use this platform for good, and I know we have little ones, and you guys are going to have little ones, or you're going to have a little one. You have little ones. So Dan, I'm leaving you because Alex can handle the rest of it. I know he can.
It's okay.
We can't do it as well as you would, Molly, but we're gonna do our damnedest.
Obviously.
This has been really fun.
It has been fun.
Yeah.
I hope
we're not done, Dan.
I know Alex and I are done.
I
want to give Molly her full.
That's fair.
Her full due.
So thank you again.
Thank you.
I just have grandbaby duty to they're coming to class at 7.
Sure,
so
that's understandable. Enjoy. Please get the most out of it. Yeah.
See ya.
All right.
Take care. Goodbye.
Selfie, right?
Goodbye.
See ya.
Later, Mama.
Bye.
See you later. Let's use this opportunity to do our own nature check, Dan, and by that I mean go to the bathroom and let the listeners, but most importantly me, do that because I've been drinking a lot more water. Did we talk about this last time?
We talked about Molly, but not you.
Yeah, well, so this you know where I got this? You'll appreciate this.
Fish bottle.
I got this at Riviera Maya in 2017. Yeah, and I tried to
fish the band, not the animal.
Right. So this is a 1 liter bottle, and my resolution is to drink 2 of these every day. 2 liters.
Yes, wonderful.
But I've got a bladder like a hamster, Dan, and so that creates problems for me.
Sure.
But it is going to cause us to take a short break. We are going to come back and do the lightning round right after this break. Stay nearby, folks. Hey, folks. Thanks for listening to our podcast. I hope you've been enjoying it. I wanted to take a minute to tell you about Cover My Six. For my fellow veterans out there and for those of you in law enforcement, you already know what Cover My Six means. And for the rest of you out there, it means cover my butt. And that's what we do for our clients. I've been litigating business cases for many years, and here's what I've learned about them. First, they're not fun for my clients. Even when lawyers knock it out of the park for them, business owners and professionals in litigation find it stressful, distracting, time-consuming, and expensive. Second, I believe almost all business lawsuits and investigations are totally preventable. Third, almost every business lawsuit and investigation has focused on some combination of 6 key relationships: those with customers, vendors, employees, shareholders, insurance companies, and technology. Knowing these 3 things, we created Cover My 6 to optimize those 6 areas for businesses of all sizes. We create and facilitate the company's key documents, and we optimize their policies and practices in those 6 areas so that their owners and employees can focus their time and attention and money where they should, on making and selling their products and growing their business, not on lawyers and courtrooms and lawsuits. So go to covermy6.com to learn more about this service. I'm really proud of it, and there's nothing else out there that's like it. Our clients love it too. They get security and peace of mind from it, and I know you will too. Go to covermy6.com to learn more. Thank you. It occurred to me just now that my curiosity and inquiry into pretty much anything I don't know well about, starts from a place of skepticism. So for me, chiropractic, I've gone many times, and it's been magic. So I know that chiropractic is not something that I will ever be skeptical about.
Right.
But the other things on here, which I've never heard of before, I approach with that same inquiry, that deep, like, all right, I've never heard of Somato-Respiratory Integration. How similar is it? Like, this is my internal narrative, right? My inner monologue. How similar is it to everything else that just I've never heard of, and that, you know?
So that's an interesting one, because I don't market myself as a provider of Somato-Respiratory Integration classes. Like, so it's more of a, so when someone would find out about that, other than listening to this podcast, is that if someone came to be our patient in our office, or actually we actually often, right off the bat, and especially over time, we use the word practice member. And for this very reason. So someone who comes to our office, they're our patient, but they're a member of the practice insofar as that they are above and beyond what is usually expected, or rather the power that is usually given to the person receiving the modality or the treatment. I want to empower my clients to feel like they're involved in their own healing, right? So we call them practice members, right? So when someone gets their practice member orientation, they're educated on the fact that we have these classes and workshops that are solely designed to be beneficial to their ability to achieve better outcomes and to help themselves when they're not in the office. Because regularly we get the question, what could I be doing outside of my regular adjustment to improve my outcomes?
Yeah.
And I could say 1,000 things. I prefer to let them find out, or to help guide them toward the things that are there, the thing that's right for them, the type of exercise, the type of diet, so on and so forth. And the Somato-Respiratory Integration, along with the other classes that I offer, are the few things that I specifically incorporate because it's so valuable in unison with the care that we offer at our office.
Is Somato-Respiratory Integration, is that like repetitive, like breathing exercises?
So that specifically is a series of 12 exercises.
Okay.
We mostly teach the first few as for 2 reasons. Well, I could say maybe for 10 reasons. I could break it down pretty far, but really what we're doing is we're helping that person to become more familiar with how to connect with their body, right? And that's an interesting concept. How do you connect with your body? If you go on the street and you ask someone, hey, how do you connect with your body? They'd be like, what are you talking about? I don't know. I've never even asked myself that question before. But it's a really important question, because if you know the answer to that, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, like, if you do yoga, you know how to connect with your body.
Yeah.
If you're an athlete, and you do the stretching and you do visualization before your performance, and you just are, you know how to optimize your performance, you would answer the question on the street that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
But I don't know if that's what you're talking about.
It is. Yeah, no, that's a perfect segue, because the people who have the greatest connection with that particular thing, this somato-respiratory integration, are usually people who already do something with themselves to help themselves be healthier. And what I regularly find is that, and this was true for me as well, is that through the work we do with this SRI, which we would call it SRI. SRI is easier to say. It's, you know, the words are long as they are, so we'll just leave it as SRI. When I started practicing SRI, and what is usually the experience of the people in our practice, is that they realized that the level at which they were connecting with themselves was less than their potential. So I'm not going to go into specifics about what the first few exercises produce experientially in terms of results, but because it's different for everyone, that's why I'm not going into it. For example, we were talking about these traumas with a little t, right, earlier, and how when we go through life and we have these stressors and these small traumas that kind of pile up in our lives, I mentioned that the experience literally gets bound in the body as vibration, and that vibration physically represents as tension. So the body's carrying around your negative experiences in the form of tension in the body, in the muscles, in the bones, in the nervous tissue, in the fascia. And the SRI is designed to help people connect with, in a positive, safe, healthy way, connect with that energy and that tension of that moment or that experience or that mindset or that emotion in a way that allows the body to release it and utilize it. Right? It's like think of the tension in your body as potential energy. It's just sitting there unused. You're just wasting it because you're tense. Like if you walked around all day with your fist clenched, looking for a fight, right? Like you're just wasting energy. And if you were to realize all of a sudden that it was a subconscious action, and then you just released it for the first time all week, all month, all year, you fed back into your body all this energy you're wasting clenching your fist. Yeah. The same thing happens with the rest of the body and the rest of the body's tissues. Yeah. So the SRI is designed to help people locate and connect with the area in their body or the area in their life where that tension is getting bound up and depriving them.
Did I ask you in the last episode if you meditate?
No, you didn't, but I do.
Do you meditate?
I do.
Okay. Do you ever do that body scan meditation?
Yes. Yeah.
So to me, that's very close to what you just said, right? Because when I do it, I don't really realize that parts of my body are tense until I apply like this mental laser to it, right? And scan my body down. I'm like, holy crap, how long have my shoulders been tensed up like that? Like maybe for days, you know? Yeah. It sounds like that's
and as a meditator, you probably realize it's difficult enough, and it takes enough dedication that a lot of people just aren't going to do that. Yeah. Right. I mean, I realize when I don't practice regularly, it's kind of tough to get back into it. I actually had a period for the last few months between moving and starting a new practice, I realized I really dropped off the wagon. Yeah. And it's taken me a while to really get back into it. In terms of sitting down, doing the practice and saying, yeah, I'm getting this right now, you know? Right. And so SRI is designed, it's like, imagine that's one perspective, as effective as it is. We're trying to give people multiple perspectives into their life and into their mentality, into their emotional framework, in a way where someone who literally has no experience in the past with meditation or yoga or anything like that can, in a moment, connect with and get benefit out of that exercise. And so, for example, you know, in our introductory class, we'll do 4 exercises, and in a room of 4, let alone 10 people, one person in that room is going to have a major transformational experience in that class. And it happens every time. And so what I tell people is, listen, if today wasn't powerful for you, for a moment, take the gratitude off of yourself and be grateful that we got to be part of someone else's transformation. And it's because we're getting really specific with it, but it's so quick and easy, this SRI stuff, but it's specific to a certain vibration or an experience in your body. So we're helping people to see themselves and connect with themselves from different perspectives, and inevitably, at some point in your life, everyone's going to connect with every one of the exercises at some point. And in any given workshop, one person present is going to connect with one of them in a way that's and I say to one person, pretty much everyone walks away saying that was cool, that was powerful, that was great, that was relaxing, that was empowering. And then I expect at least one person is going to have an experience where it's like, wow, just really powerful for them. And that's my favorite thing.
Have you treated someone before or helped them and found them to have improved in ways that even you didn't expect? Like,
yes.
Have you ever been surprised by your own work?
Absolutely.
When?
The first one that comes, well, there's a few different categories. So one would be someone who had, just an immense number of chronic illnesses that since childbirth, literally 60 something years old, illnesses since childbirth, multiple.
Right.
And coming in just blown away by the level of improvement and just blowing me away. Like I'm amazed at the power of the body to heal from things that have seemed like all but just complete condemnation. Mm-hmm. Right? Like my life is over. This is my lot. My cards have been dealt. Nothing can be done. And to watch the body turn around and find vitality and health and abundance within a realm of reason. Like they weren't going from having chronic lifelong lung disease to like doing triathlons, though that would be awesome too. Yeah. But this person, just to see abundance restored in a life that was previously defined by lack. And that was probably, that's what comes to mind first, because I think it's so moving to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be incredibly gratifying too.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
All right, Dan, are you ready for the lightning round?
Yes, let's do the lightning round.
Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Here it comes, man. I hope you got some sleep and took some vitamins, because it's about to get real, Dan. All right.
Bring it on.
So first I'm going to ask you Molly's lightning round question. So pretend like I'm Molly.
Okay.
Her first lightning round question is, what are you binging?
Binging. Oh my gosh. Short term, we just came across, Christian and I, this Netflix show called The Good Place. Thought it was hilarious. Got a great laugh out of it. I mean, that's the simple one. So if you're looking for something funny to watch, The Good Place is great. It's not finished yet. There's another season coming out. Long term, I'm really into fantasy these days, more than ever, more than when I was a kid. So I just finished recently a 14-book series called The Wheel of Time, which was a life-changing, dare I say, fantasy novel, just bringing in elements of life that were so moving. Literally bringing me to tears, laughter, excitement, like just incredible. My wife's about to finish. My brother read it twice through, and my sister-in-law is just starting it for the first time. It's incredible.
Molly's next lightning round question is, Dan, what's on your mind?
Right now? That's a funny... I'll go ahead with this one. I'm wondering what I want to be when I grow up.
Really?
And that's a funny thing, because I will never stop doing what I'm doing. And I've thought... So I'm in my second year of business. Third year as a licensed chiropractor. So really, I'm getting in 3 years of business soon here. And I'll never stop doing what I'm doing. And I know there's more to what I want to do, to more I want to offer, to how I want to express my gifts. And I'm learning to enjoy the process of watching how that unfolds. Whereas, again, ripe, young age of 30, just a few years ago, pretty much through my entire 20s, I felt an urgency to know exactly what I was going to do when I was older, whenever the heck that is. And I'm really enjoying the process of kind of watching how my interests deepen. And with the things that fade away, in particular, it's like that these things fade away, and this is where I really want to put my energy and my attention.
So what are the candidates?
So I want to teach. I've asked myself, especially when I started, in starting a business, there's a lot of stress involved. Do you know about that stress, Alex?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So at certain mornings, evenings, lunchtimes, wherever it comes up, there's that thought of like, gosh, is there something else I'd rather do than be every single player in my own business, every single role? And the answer is always no. This is what I want to do. This is it. This is what I want to do and offer the world, and that I think is gonna be the best for me and for everybody. So I wouldn't quit doing what I'm doing to be a grade school teacher, though I thought about it, especially before chiropractic school. I wondered if that was my goal.
Yeah.
But somehow, and I don't know, this is the part, I don't know how yet. Somehow I want to be a teacher.
I think that you will. So, and I've mentioned this a couple times in the previous 94 episodes, but I'll tell you because I think that you're experiencing, possibly, permit me to diagnose you.
Do it,
okay?
Doc, do it.
Is because we just represent businesses and business owners here, so we have our own stresses as business owners, but we also assume the stresses of our clients, right? And help them break through those stresses.
Absolutely.
Not just from a legal standpoint, but in every other kind. And so the one thing that I see that causes entrepreneurs to stress out the most about running their business is the fact that they're doing too much in it. And you said something just now that leads me to believe that you're experiencing the same agita, right? And so there is this exercise that I did in this coaching program that I was in, that I'm still in, called Strategic Coach. And it's called the Activity Inventory, right? And this was one of the biggest light bulbs that went off for me, right? And made me love being a business owner way more than I ever did before. And the idea is this. So you keep track for 2 weeks of everything you do professionally, right? Every task, paying bills, treating patients or members, doing professional development, business development, whatever, like literally every single thing you do in your business, right? And then you make a list, and then you cross out all of the duplicates, and then you make columns, 3 columns to the right of it. And the first column is how much joy does that thing bring you? The second column is how much money does that thing make you? And the third thing is how good at it are you relative to anybody else you know?
Yeah.
And then you rate each of those 3 categories and each task in those categories on a scale of 1 to 4. 4 being it makes me the most money out of anything that I do. 4 is it brings me overwhelming joy, and 4 is I do it better than anyone else I know.
Yeah.
Right. And everything else is a 1 through a 3. 1, being I'm incompetent at it, and I make no money doing it, and I don't look forward to it at all. Right. It just sucks. So the goal over time is to delegate or cross off anything that doesn't have 3s and 4s in all 3 columns. And when you do that enough and you surround yourself with people, whether it's as employees or just outsourced people, right? To take on all the things that you don't enjoy, that don't make you a lot of money, and that other people do better than you or as good as you, then you start loving your business a lot more.
That's more in depth than I've ever heard. I've heard it with the last column.
Yeah.
If you excel at it versus being just good at it versus sucking at it, right?
Yeah.
And I love that. I'm actually going to do that. And to be fair, I don't know if I gave a shout out last week. We have this. So our first practice in Athens, my wife and I ran it by ourselves, 100% by ourselves, and we found ourselves extremely stressed out.
Yeah.
Me in particular. And we have really been blessed with an amazing office manager, employee. We call her the wellness coordinator. She wants to be called the queen or the empress, or which, Lauren, when you listen to this, you now just got 1 tick in that column of adopting that title.
The universe now knows.
The universe knows. So Lauren Magi is our amazing employee and front desk worker and office manager. And so we've had an awesome team shift happen where we've been able to move more towards that.
Yeah.
And so it really has become a more pleasing environment, I think, for my wife and I. Definitely, for sure. And I look forward to moving more in that direction.
Okay. A perfect day for Dan Continenza is...
Shoot. Well, perfect day. There's no one thing that I would do that would be like my perfect day. I guess my perfect day is I would have 3 to 4 hours. Like people, quick preface here. So people say like, "Hey, I'm a morning person," or "I'm not a morning person." To me, I feel like I'm a morning person if I have 3 to 4 hours to myself. I love waking up. I love waking up, especially if I know I have this chunk of time where I can just take my time.
Right.
So I would have 3 to 4 hours by myself in the morning, like that, which I almost never get, by the way, which is it'd be like pretty incredible, or even 2 to 3 hours. Do my, and this would be for meditation, yoga, and tai chi, drinking my coffee, reading a book, playing the ukulele, which we have not talked about.
We haven't. I'm so glad that you brought that up again. Yeah.
And it would progress into pretty much a day of hanging out with my family, playing board games, having dinner and meals together, and then I got to go either or here because it depends on my energy level, how stoked I am to be doing stuff. I'd either want to have a bonfire with or without a drum circle, or go dance my tush off, because I know you guys bleep out. I found out you guys bleep out the words
sometimes. So yeah,
dance my tush off to some awesome dance music.
That
would be an amazing day.
That's pretty close to my amazing day,
right
Dan.
on,
that's awesome. All right, the ook. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, all right.
Right. So it is ukulele. It's not ukulele, correct?
Yes, I think you're right on that. I say
too.
Ukulele. I just do the I do the American person thing.
I would not presume to argue over the pronunciation with someone who plays it. So if you say ukulele,
I do think you're correct though. I think it's literally like ukulele. I think it's probably how you would say it if you were.
Yeah, but I think that you buy street cred by playing it. So you call it whatever you want.
I'm gonna keep calling it the ukulele.
You should. Yeah. How long have you been playing?
I've been playing strings off and on since I was in middle school, and literally, by that I mean I've sucked my way through bass guitar, regular guitar, and ukulele for most of my life, until really honestly until Christian and I met and started spending time together, and she would join me. She would sing with me, sing the songs that I had learned, and it became more fun. And so really it was about, we met in 2014, so I guess it's been about 5 years that I've kind of, I guess you could say, got more serious. And by serious, I mean, if I'm sitting around, I think to myself, hey, I should practice ukulele right now, or learn a new song. Yeah. And literally in the past month, I've gotten to the point where I always thought I was just going to be doomed to just like playing 3-chord songs unless I like learned a music theory. But out of the blue, I started getting this kind of like experimental kind of inspiration where I've actually made 2 of my own songs.
Really?
And I'm nowhere close to feeling. I've thought about trying to record them. It's not to that point yet.
You should record them on your phone and then send them to Nellie, and she'll attach it to this podcast.
I will heavily consider that possibility.
That was a really good answer to my dare. I will heavily consider it. That's all self-taught. All the strings.
Yeah. All using chord charts off the internet, and I kind of assumed it was going to be just like a by myself in my living room, or like a fireside kind of thing maybe. But I think I've impressed myself with it's, if you want to learn an instrument, just play it, and you'll surprise yourself with how good you get. I mean, it's fun. Yeah. It's really fun.
Okay, the Christy George. We ask a question named after a guest, Christy George, who's a publisher. She makes a magazine. You should read it, actually. You should be in it.
know Christy George.
Do you know Christy George?
I know Christy George.
Are you going to be in her magazine? You should be.
We have.
You'd be perfect for it.
We have set a re-meet date, Christy and I.
Perfect.
Because it was not the right time for us. We'll be meeting again soon.
Yeah, you'd be perfect for it. The Christy is, if you could interview any person who ever lived, who would it be?
Goodness. Okay, all right, here's my answer. It's fair to say that it is literally debated whether this guy ever actually existed. And I don't know. I don't know. Maybe you could totally debunk that. And if someone could, that'd be great, because I don't know. So Lao Tzu is the Chinese sage who is credited with the Tao Te Ching. Since that's what, and you mentioned what am I binging these days? Really, the thing that I'm focusing on most is really learning and actually becoming effective at these Chinese energy cultivation techniques, these arts, right? And so he's I'll say him. I'll say him. That would be amazing. To study under a master.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Master of masters. Yeah.
All right. Now those were appetizers.
Oh my gosh. Are we still in Molly's questions?
No, we're done. We're done with Molly. We're done with the Christy. Here's the main course. These are my questions. Gosh. You ready? You want to take a break?
Ready. No, we're good.
Do some stretches.
I'll stretch real quick. Right. I'm stretching. I'm lifting my arms in the air, and I'm ready to go now.
You are shipwrecked on a desert island for a minimum of 3 months, but which might be the rest of your life. You have no idea. You just know it's somewhere between the two. You may bring with you any single musician's entire discography. Who's the musician? Could be a band, could be an artist, anything or anyone that plays music.
All right. If I don't know how long I'm going to be there, you have days where you're up, you're down, you're peaceful, you're excited, right? So there's all these different emotions. I need something that's going to be able to cover the different of the lifetime that I'm going to spend on this desert island. I would pick the entire discography of a DJ duo or electronic producer duo called the Desert Dwellers. The Desert Dwellers are one of my favorite groups of all time.
Never heard of them.
Two gentlemen who use electronic equipment to produce all their music, as well as featuring artists and vocalists who also play instruments and sing as well.
Do they have a large discography?
They have a large discography that ranges from meditation and yoga music to heavy-duty dance music, like Pump Up big time.
Wow.
Pump Up for me. I mean, it's not, you have to listen to it to find out for yourself if that's what you like.
I thought I was pretty music savvy, Dan, but
I'm kind of...
Apparently
I
not.
live in a niche. Any of the top people I would have chosen are unlikely to be. I'm not trying to be. I'm not a snob.
No,
it's I fell into a niche when I moved to Atlanta. I actually saw these guys. It was the first show I saw in Atlanta, and I had known about them. And I went and saw them, and it kind of marked the transition. I just kind of fell into this genre or this thread, this vein of music, and most of the people I listen to are kind of not obscure, but lesser known, either bands or electronic DJ producer types who are.
Is it anything like Bonobo at all?
Yes. It's phenomenal.
Similar, right?
I love
the
Bonobo,
way you described them just now made me think of Bonobo.
Bonobo is one of my.
I love those guys.
He is featured heavily on my Office playlist.
Dan.
All right, fire at me here.
Same shipwreck, same desert island, same unknown time period. You may now bring with you any single author's entire bibliography. Who do you bring?
As much as I'd like to say something educational or spiritual,
not necessary.
The guy that finished the 14-book Wheel of Time series was not the original author, because the original author passed away. It was a man named Brandon Sanderson who, in my opinion, enhanced the writing of the original author in the last 3 volumes of this series. And my brother is neck deep in this guy's literature, and he's just raving about the guy. I've not even read his books. I would bring Brandon Sanderson's entire bibliography on the desert island, because
that's pretty ballsy.
So this is ballsy.
Sight unseen.
Or My perception is something like fiction is only as untrue as your inability to relate to it. Mm-hmm. Or the opposite would be fiction is as true as your ability to relate to it.
Right.
And I feel like in deep, honest fiction, I found so much connection to deep emotions, thoughts, senses of like inspiration and well-being. So a good author, maybe they would be bored out of their minds trying to write an educational manuscript on their thoughts about life, but when they turn it into a story, it just hits you. I don't know. So that's what I would do. I would bring this on, and then I'm reading it all for the first time too. Then I haven't read any of his books.
Good point. What is a routine or habit that you do on a regular basis from which you have gotten the most mileage?
The most mileage, yeah. That's actually kind of easy. So I try to do a lot of things as routines, and they tend to fade pretty quickly. And this is going to sound really nerdy, I think. But through my education, through the yoga and the meditation and the Tai Chi and stuff, I came across this. I kind of adapted this series of spinal exercises. Right? I'm a chiropractor, right? Spinal exercises where I gently, but in an intentional way, move my spine through really subtle ranges of motion with the intention of not engaging big muscle groups, but just trying to feel into the spaces that I don't. It's the slow movement version of the body scan. Like I'm not doing big movement. It's like I'm trying to find the medium point between the big movement and the body scan. It is literally the single thing that I've done the most, gotten the most mileage out of in my.
Wow.
And I teach it in. So on the other side of the aisle from SRI, the Somato-Respiratory stuff, I also do a couple of workshops where I take people through my personal routine, which also informs the way I do my chiropractic adjustment. So I want them to know it as well, so we can communicate more effortlessly and effectively, and they can learn things that I think are valuable. That's gentle spinal movement is the number one thing.
That's fat. Yeah. I didn't even know that was like possible. I'm imagining like what a caterpillar does, or like an earthworm.
Perfect analogy. I literally never even thought about that.
Okay, the final and by far the most complex and difficult lightning round question is: what is an embarrassing thing about yourself that very few people know, and for extra credit, that no one else knows?
I feel like some of the more interesting, embarrassing stories I have I've told a lot, which kind of takes the charge off of it, So I'm gonna say, if you ever meet me in person, maybe we can talk about some embarrassing things, audience, and I don't know. I can't think of anything other than like maybe one of the times I was in elementary school and like peed myself and tried not to tell anyone, but that doesn't qualify. That's like pre-teenager, okay, so that's
happens. Not, because it's not that embarrassing.
It's not that embarrassing.
It's embarrassing at the time, but now it's like, who cares? I'm
going to go with this thing that I have in mind that very few people know, that I would classify as embarrassing, but I'm going to share. So Molly asked last time if I had any videos of me dancing, and I do. I actually have a YouTube channel that I made several years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is so big time right here.
I'm not even going to tell you the name. I'm not going to say the name because you'll find it if you do what I'm about to tell you. There is one video that has disappeared from that channel that I may have deleted in a moment of embarrassment, but I wanted to find it again to show it to somebody because I thought it was so funny. And we were able to find it only by searching the name on Facebook. Okay? So if you search on... I'm sorry, no, I said Facebook. I meant YouTube.
This is outstanding radio, YouTube, ladies and gentlemen.
If you search YouTube for Atomic Dance Off, okay? Let me just make sure that was clear. 3 words, Atomic Dance Off. You'll find the thumbnail is of a guy standing, facing horizontally, facing sideways, in a weird green suit. That's me. And you'll see the first video I ever made was a video I made. This is pre-chiropractic school. This is probably 2012, I'd say. 2012, 2013. I made a video of me having an argument, a fight, and then a dance-off with myself. 2 characters. 2 characters. Literally. You'll see it. And
that's excellent.
It's epic. I hope you laugh so hard that you cry, because it is really a gem.
Wow. Yeah.
Atomic Dance Off. And I'll tell you, just so you know you're looking at the right video, the YouTube channel name is Primal Divine. I don't know what it means. I just made it. That was the YouTube channel. If you find it, you can watch all my other dance videos. They're less fascinating. They're less. That was the only comedy that I did. The rest are all just me dancing, and you can see how much of a weirdo I have been in my life.
You know, Dan, I appreciate that you bare your soul this way to our many listeners. It'll be a great experiment because we will know exactly how many people have listened all the way to the end of this podcast, because we're not posting this in the show notes, right? This will be for the diehard fans only. Only.
If you listen through and you've watched the video, put in the comments what you thought about the video without revealing to the other listeners how to find it. So they have to find it on their own. I want to see that.
Fascinating.
That would be phenomenal.
Have you thought of an embarrassing thing that nobody knows that you would be willing to share? Because in most cases, there's a reason nobody knows it.
Right.
This is really...
I'm going to be honest. If no, it's probably buried in my own mind. I don't know. I mean, it's because I have some pretty embarrassing things that I'll be transparent. There's things that I've only shared with my wife. There's things I've only shared with very close friends that I'm just not going to share on this podcast. But I cannot think of something that I've literally never shared, because it's probably a funny story. It's probably something I just haven't thought about. No, I don't know. I don't.
Well, that was a good answer. You would be surprised if you went back to the other 93 episodes we've had on this. How many of the answers to that question involve pooping your pants?
That was going to be my go-to.
Yeah.
I mean, there's times as late as, okay, here's one. It's not. You'll take it for what it is. And people know this story, so it's not.
Listen, if they've listened to this far, it's because they're going to like you no matter what they say.
So
no matter what
when
you say.
I was in an undergrad, college program. My sophomore year, I dipped out from OU, Ohio University, went to Australia, studied for 6 months in Australia, had a phenomenal time. Transformational. It really, it was the best decision, probably one of the best, biggest decisions of my life. And I went to this 11-day silent meditation retreat, 10 days silent, 11 days total, called Vipassana. It's all over the world. A lot of people may have heard of it. It's you literally for 10 days, no eye contact with any other human being, no journal, no watch, no notebook, no books, no nothing, no talking. You're just totally silent.
Yeah.
And it was really intense. It literally, the guy who told me about it told me how amazing it was. My description has to include, totally life-changing, amazing retreat. My description has to include the feeling of being dragged across gravel naked by a horse. Like, it was intense.
Oh, like in the beginning of it, you mean?
Like multiple times throughout the whole thing. Like, there was moments of bliss, moments of total peace, like that I've never experienced even since then. Stillness of the mind. Like, I literally saw my mind unmoving and still. I could see it. 8 hours straight. I saw it unmoving. I had zero thoughts. It was the most magical thing. And moments of such agony. Yeah. Especially as someone who loves to talk and be an extrovert. You know?
See, my experience, I've gone on a shorter ones than that, but it's the beginning part that sucks.
Yes, the beginning was the worst.
At some point, you get to that state of bliss, and for me, it's pretty steady once you get there.
But I think the harder parts were when in that stillness, really difficult emotional things would come up. That was the difficulty. Like all of a sudden in a moment, I'd have this sense of like, oh, there's like the parts about myself that I hate kind of would just like come up. And so that was the difficulty, I think.
Got it.
So about 8 or so days in. So when I was a child, I was a bedwetter, and I wet the bed for what me felt like. I mean, it felt like years, honestly. I don't know. Maybe it was months. Maybe it was a year. Maybe it was years. It was embarrassing, even as a kid. And then it passed, and I have no issues for my entire young childhood, or let's just say older childhood, teenage, adult life. No, it's like it's just you outgrow it and you're fine. Okay, so in this retreat, I had miserable sleep every night. I never one night did I have a nice night of sleep. Like, and I found out later after the silence was broken that my roommates were having the best sleep of their lives, right? But in my dreams, the most of the like introspection was happening. It was intense. So my dreams were fitful, they were restless, they were intense. One night I woke up in my sleeping bag. Audience, I was drenched in piss. I kid you not. I was talk about mortified. Talk about mortified. It was before the 4:30 a.m. gong. Yes, we woke up at 4:30 a.m. with a gong. And I had just enough time to rinse out my sleeping bag, because it was like a high quality sleeping bag, right? So it just held the moisture.
That's
rinsed
ridiculous.
It out, washed my clothes in the sink, washed myself in the shower, hung it up. No one ever knew until months later. I probably told a close friend first, and then I've told more people since. That's probably one of the most embarrassing adult moments.
That's a good one. I'm glad I prompted you by saying these mostly end up with poop stories.
Yeah. Adult version, that's definitely one of the most embarrassing things that ever happened in my life.
Oh man. All right. Dan, this was awesome. You have passed the lightning round. Those were exceptional stories. Dan, are you doing anything at Tone of Life or in your life that you want to get out there to the universe before we go?
Yeah, for sure. So I don't know how long it's going to take for these podcasts to come out, but just to give an example. So this coming Sunday, now you guys who are listening to this is way past by now. But we do this community dinner, or this time it's actually a lunch, where we buy lunch, we buy dinner, you come, we chat, we talk about what our vision is for you, for your health, and how our practice can help you find that level of life experience that you want, but you don't know how to get, right, in your physical health, in your emotional health, in your mental health, in your vitality, and that's our favorite event, because it's a really relaxed way to connect with the community and have people feel comfortable coming and checking us out. And so keep in touch, please, with our Facebook page, Tone of Life on Facebook. We're toneoflifeohio.com. We always post our events. You can get on our mailing list. So we have multiple ways of keeping people in touch with our events. Community dinners, in-house lectures, in-house workshops. And if anyone has any desire to bring to their business or to their organization a lunch and learn or a specialized workshop to suit their needs, I love sharing our vision and our mission with people and helping them find ways that they can improve their sense of well-being and well-living. So that's what we have going on. There's constantly updates on our, again, Facebook website. My personal life, gosh, you just have to friend me on Facebook, and I got lots of ideas. How soon they come to the surface in terms of offerings that I have in my personal life, we'll have to see. If nothing else, maybe I'll post a ukulele video, and you can be one of the first to see one of my privately created songs.
You know what you should do? You should take that. You should take some of those dance videos and then overdub your current playing the ukulele to those. That'd be sweet.
It would look very strange. I'm not gonna lie.
I think you could do it. I think that'd be a cool project.
I'll try.
Yeah.
I'll test it out.
Folks, if you have listened all the way to the end, A, you probably listened to the first episode, the first half of this interview. And B, you're probably Adam or Nick or Christian. Molly, Nellie. No, we've got, there's thousands of you out there at this point, right? So here's what I would love for you to do. Go to our Facebook page. Just type in Best Podcast Ever. I think there might be the remnant of a previously named podcast called Best Podcast Ever. You'll know which one's ours. Don't go to that other one. But like us on Facebook, and then and you can go to thebestpodcastever.com and subscribe, and then you'll get first dibs on every episode that drops as it drops. And then what you ought to do right now is whatever you're listening to this podcast on, whatever device or platform, it's Stitcher, iTunes, or whatever, you probably have the ability to leave a review or a rating, and do that. Do that for me. I'd appreciate it. Molly would appreciate it, unless it's a bad review, and then don't, and then just send that to me and tell us why we suck. Yeah, do that, and go to gertzberglaw.com and check out that Cover My Sick stuff. It's blowing up. It's going through the roof. Thank you to my sister Nellie, who is the producer of this whole shindig.
Thank you, Nellie.
Thank you, Nellie. And thank you to John Doherty, who's our editor, who's amazing, and who very tactfully but assertively gives us really good advice.
Thank you, John. And sorry for pounding the table, John.
Yeah, and I'm sorry we take like most but not all of your advice. It's all really, really good. Folks, thanks for listening this far. We can't wait to do another episode for you, and we will catch you then. Thanks.
We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we thank you for listening. And remember to check out the Gertzberg Law Firm if you're starting, running, growing, or transitioning a business, or if you need to create or update your wills, trusts, or estate plan. Our firm and our lawyers are among the highest caliber and well-recognized professionals in the field. We are veteran-owned, have the highest rankings from Super Lawyers and the other key attorney rating organizations. And we were recently added to the coveted Weatherhead 100. More than being respected by our peers, our clients rely on us to successfully defend them in court, help them avoid the courtroom with our Cover My Sick service, protect their assets, and for many non-legal business services like recruiting and business development. More than just litigators, we are trusted advisors, problem solvers, and growers of businesses. Let us help you and your company. Call us or find us online to learn more. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you next time.